This is a severe weather forecast discussion for March 28th, 2020. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a moderate risk of severe weather across northern Illinois and an enhanced risk for the adjacent areas near there. And that's going to be associated with a very strong low pressure system, a maturing low pressure system with dynamic fronts. We've got the surface cyclone tracking across here, a cold front and dry line down through here, and the warm front, which is going to be lifting farther to the north as the period goes on. And the result of this intense low pressure and the radial inflow that it will induce will be a very moist low level environment characterized by surface dew points, particularly south of the warm front. So, right in this area here where the moderate risk is, that could reach the mid to upper 60s. We're looking at the NAM showing mid 60s to maybe 67 degrees. And in conjunction with steepening mid-level lapse rates owing to drier aloft, we see that there could be, right in here, south of the warm front, an area of large potential energy. Cape values going up to about 2,500 joules per kilogram. There is an uncomfortable amount of model disagreement on the extent of the instability today, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to evolve. It depends on a number of things, including once rain and thunderstorms move out of the area this morning, will there be heating taking place through this area? And some guidance from the HREF version 2 has suggested that yes, in the wake of early morning convection, there will be a little bit of clearing, and that could produce diabatic surface heating, and that could increase the cape further during the afternoon. A really significant factor during this event is going to be the movement of an intense upper level shortwave trough characterized by negative tilting as it progresses, translates eastward with deepening mid and upper level low, a closed low, and because this is so strong, we see it's going to be ejecting a very intense mid-level speed max over the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Ozarks, and that's going to lead to intense wind shear. Also, the dynamics in this area from the defluence and the jet stream exit region. But we could see for about this area effective layer shear that increases to values in excess of 60 knots, which is incredibly strong anyway. But it is possible that through here, based on some model guidance, we could see effective layer shear increase to 70 to 80 knots, which is extremely strong and would promote discrete, well-organized convection. And in conjunction with the intensification of mid and upper level flow, owing to the approach of the short wave, we have the increasing pressure gradient with the movement of the mature cyclone, and that's going to result in low level flow. This is 850 millibars, that is going to be rapidly increasing between 20Z and 02Z particularly. And the area where this is increasing most is across our moderate and enhanced risk areas. This is going to be where hodographs are going to be strengthening, they're going to be lengthening, they're going to be curving, particularly since, if you notice here, we're in the southeast quadrant of the surface cyclone and the attendant cyclone that extends up into the atmosphere. And this is going to lead to some pretty intense low-level wind shear. This is looking at 0 to 3 kilometer storm relative velocity, and we see here values that are ranging from about 200 to 450 meters squared per second squared, particularly where supercells are likely to initiate over here, and that's going to be in the warm sector. If we look at a sounding, now this is from the rapid refresh model, and I don't know how accurate it's going to play out, and it doesn't display a lot of the things that NAM displays, so there is some model disagreement still going, but some important things to note. The intense speed shear and directional shear within the lowest 3 kilometers of the atmosphere, the high relative humidity and low lifted condensation level within the lowest 1 kilometer of the atmosphere, high boundary layer relative humidity, owing to the moisture content and potentially even suppressed temperatures somewhat due to the antecedent convection precipitation moving through. We notice down here pretty decent instability, and also in the composite parameters we see values that are highly favorable for the development of intense severe weather, including large hail and tornadoes. And this is why when we look here at the HRF version 2, we see a bullseye through here, through part of the moderate risk area, and it moves northeastward with time, of fixed layer significant tornado parameter that is between 4 and possibly locally values up to 8. I'm going to say most of them are going to be between 4 and 6, but indicative of an environment that features a strong overlap of intense wind shear and strong instability, in addition to the jet stream dynamics, which I had alluded to previously. And we're going to be looking here at the HRRR simulated reflectivity going in through the morning. We see elevated thunderstorms over Indiana and Ohio move out of the area, and this could potentially allow for some clearing through here if storms move out of the way and clouds diminish some. As we continue to progress through the period, through the afternoon hours, this is looking at about 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 14Z, and it's no longer working. That's nice. Okay, we'll move through it manually. During afternoon we see no, one of the things that's going to be interesting to note is that the core of vorticity and low pressure aloft is going to be moving through about here, so we could see additional supercells and tornadoes developing around central Iowa, potentially, assuming that sufficient destabilization occurs. But continuing to move through the period, we see right around here, after 19Z, discrete supercell development, long track supercell development over the moderate risk area in northern Illinois. I'm going to say this area in particular is going to probably see the highest potential impacts from these supercells, which could include very large hail, strong, potentially intense, long-lived, long-track tornadoes, and scattered damaging wind gusts. I'm going to move things forward here based on this model ground, and we see additional development occurring in central Illinois, and this is going to spread into western Illinois, Indiana during the night, but that will probably be comparatively weaker. And additional strong to severe thunderstorms, potentially tornadic, near the warm front. We could get warm front action involved in this, across southern Wisconsin, southern Michigan. Additional severe weather is going to be taking place down here, from Arkansas into Tennessee and Kentucky. That's where slight risk is currently in place, and tornadoes are possible but not as likely. Now, one final thing to mention with this outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, this moderate risk, is that they are considering an upgrade to a high risk in part of this highest tornado probability area. Probably, I'd say, across northern Illinois. But I don't know. They might not issue a high risk, but they are considering it. So that has been an overview of the severe weather environment for March 28th, 2020.